Well, the next person I'm going to ask to come up is a great man of God from Malta, a man who's been called into full-time ministry as a pastor in Malta, and he has his own unique story of what God has done in his life. Raphael Spiteri is going to come and share, and then lead us into ministry after he's shared, because God's about working through people, working through Raphael to encourage us to move on in the kingdom of God. So bless you, thank you for coming and sharing your time with us.
Well, I have a word for somebody here, which I'd like to read before I go to my testimony. It's taken from the chapter 1, 1 Peter, chapter 1, verse 6. In this you greatly rejoice, now for a little while, if need be. You have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. It's definitely for me, but also for some of you here. I had to learn how to rejoice in adversity. I had to learn how to rejoice when things are not going the way I expected them to be. The fact is that unless you're in the light, you don't realize that you're in darkness. Because only the light exposes the darkness. And I thought that my life was okay. But when I came to the light, I could see, how deep the darkness was. I was a very ambitious person, like maybe some of you here. And I wanted to make it in life. So I was aiming high. I got a job at the National Shipping Company in Malta, chartering ships for the government. But because of the pressure of work, I started having problems. Tension started rising. Anxiety started rising. And I became really a desperate person now. For why am I going through this when my life should be okay? Through all that, because of the acid that was building up in my stomach, I suffered an ulcer. And it was so acute that they couldn't operate on me, so I had to go on with the pain. They gave me medicine, and they gave me 3 Valium 5s a day to swallow. But because I wanted something else, I fell into drinking. And doctors were telling me, you're drugging yourself. But the only time I felt peace, actually, and joy, when I used to drink. I used to be calm. But strange enough, most of the time in the morning, I would have to look for my car because I would forget where I parked it. It was that bad. I didn't involve myself within the family. We have 3 children. They are grown-ups now. 2 boys and a girl in the middle. I just handed the family to my wife, and she ran the whole thing. And she was doing a good job for it. So I didn't mind my family at all. I was the one to provide for them, so I had to run my own life. Until one time, I was involved in a fraud. Somebody came to me to suggest to me how to do some contraband. And I gave them the whole plan how to do it. The first time it went well. The second time, it just blew in my face. Actually, they started accusing another colleague of mine. And I had a voice within me telling me, no, go and tell them. Go and tell them. We were raised in a very religious background. I thought that somebody there might help me if I have to reveal the whole truth. But I had another idea. I said, I'll lie to them. I give them a story, but I tell them I did it. So I went to the managing director and I revealed everything to him. What I didn't know is that they were waiting for this, because as soon as they knew about it, they arrested me. And they locked me up for 48 hours for interrogation. And in that little room in the middle of a hall there, I saw my castles, my world coming down. And I started crying. And even if I didn't say it, but it's like I was saying, if there is a God, if there is somebody out there, I need help. And I started reciting all the prayers that my parents taught me. I didn't know at that time, at that particular time I was doing it, God was listening. Even if some of them were not the right prayers. But I think they were coming so much deep in my heart, that God had to listen. What I didn't know also is that in the meantime, when I was picked up from home, my wife received a telephone call, and this happened 25 years ago. And my wife received a telephone call at home, and when she picked it up, this voice said to her, don't worry, Raphael is going to be okay. And he just cut off. And until this day, we don't know who that person is. Must have been an angel or something. Or God using the telephone. He calls. But as I was locked up, somebody appointed the most expensive criminal lawyer there is in Malta. One of the top, one of the best. And as they were interrogating me, he already phoned up to them, to be careful how they treat me. And I didn't know. So I almost became a liar to them. They thought I wanted to deceive them, because I didn't know about this lawyer. So when they released me, after 48 hours of interrogation, and they do it at 3 o'clock in the morning, they wouldn't let you rest. They have to break you. But I didn't. Shall I say thank God? I had to go and see my lawyer, so I went to see my lawyer.